The culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling your defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
Both games.
Saints still think they can compete with the big boys, huh? There are significant flaws in their roster construction, and they keep proving that the salary cap is merely a social construct, but trying to find the replacement for Breeze is paramount. Don't tell them the QB was the least of their issues last year because Andy Dalton did well. What will solve their woes is Derek Carr. $100 million guaranteed. Believe me, I like Derek Carr. I think he got a terrible shake in Las Vegas. But is he really going to move the needle that much here? Unless Michael Thomas magically returns to his elite 2018 form, I guess. Jamal Williams and his Naruto fetish are here too. Same as Nathan Shepard and Kalen Saunders. Forgive me if I'm not super optimistic about their Super Bowl chances in the short term. Although their division is incredibly shitty.
The New Orleans Saints select Brian Brzee, defensive tackle, Clemson.
New Orleans shed a ton on the defensive line this offseason. Onyemata, Tuttle, and Davenport in particular, so it was critical that they refill it with cost control talent. Brzee is the best available D-lineman in this spot. Congratulations, you've earned a trip down to the Bayou. With their brand new Derek Carr, will it be enough to finally allow the Saints to reach the peaks that they once experienced? That's to be determined, but the selections they made won't hurt in their quest. It is a really weak NFC South this year, just saying. There were a lot of expectations for these boys this time around. Like it or not, the NFC South is ridiculously weak on paper. Young and inexperienced or old and decrepit. Then there's New Orleans. When in doubt, keep believing that you can push with an investment in Derek Carr. Andy Dalton's performance last year, child's play. Carr will drive them back to glory. If this team doesn't get wrecked by injury. It's ended them the past few seasons. And considering they're an aged unit, those chances aren't going to drop anytime soon. It's a team of ifs. If they can stay healthy. If Michael Thomas can return to form. If Carr can mesh with the offense. If Dennis Allen can do anything resembling competent coaching, then they can thrive. First challenge? No Alvin Kamara for the first 3 games. The wheel of discipline was honestly lenient with him. First off, I believe there's a repeat winner in the NFC East. Philly takes it thanks to their offense. Sorry, Dallas. The NFC North, I'm going to kill myself in the future for it, but I'm picking Detroit. I think the Lions do it this year. Think that's crazy? I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. The only other serious contender here is New Orleans, and I don't trust them to stay healthy. NFC West, all things considered, is Seattle's to lose. This could change if Bosa plays and Purdy stays healthy, so I have them in a wildcard spot. The other 2 slots go to Dallas and Minnesota. As I said though, the final spots are anyone's guess. And that's the majesty of the game itself. Enough talk. Let's get to the football. Derek Carr's era has begun in New Orleans, and the hope is that he can drive the Saints back to relevance after years of drifting in neutral. Right after this opening kickoff fumble. Ideally, this should set the tone for a win, but these are the Titans we're talking about. Their offensive line is the epitome of suspect, and their QB is Ryan over the hill, getting absolutely nothing going when they managed to hold the ball in their hands. It was a ticking time bomb for them. Any chances Ryan had were thrown as picks or rushed out of some of the shittiest throws in this hemisphere. The Saints weren't even that good on offense. They didn't score a damn TD until late in the third, but you don't need to if your opponent can do nothing but kick field goals. Who needs touchdowns, right? King Henry sent another man to the spirit realm and you give that performance as a reward? This may be as bad as it was against Cincy. You know what game I'm talking about. The Saints defense feasts. And oh, they feasted on this rotting carcass. They'll call it another Mardi Gras, because why not? Cheap wins are still wins. This was one of the games of our time. Supposedly, 2 teams came together to pretend to play football before an audience of hostages. There was allegedly entertainment. I personally liken it to watching a videotape involving a cursed ring. We're all going to die in 7 days. Bryce Young will most likely be doing so soon. Dude's all but playing a naked run of Dark Souls on his first go-around. A touchdown in this game wasn't scored until late in the 3rd, thanks to the Saints moving heaven and earth to do so. With the Panthers unable to do shit, congratulations, New Orleans! You get another insanely ugly win where the offense looks terrible, barring a couple of splash plays once again. Can we just pretend this game never happened? My brain is already fried from all the shit that's happened this week. This game can be divided into 2 arcs. First act, life with Derek Carr under center. The Packers are looking dead to rights under a suffocating Saints defense. Jordan Love can't muster the power to overcome it. Derek Carr isn't optimal, but he's doing more than enough to guide the Saints to a sizable lead. Rashid Shaheed and his dazzling open space speed will do that as well. But New Orleans will take what they can get. With it being 17-0 in the third quarter with no signs of stopping, this should be a breeze, right? That was before Derek Carr busted his transmission. An awful shoulder injury will take him out for this game and probably a few more. After he left, take Act 2. The Saints stalling out. As the offense can't do a damn thing as they abandon the running game and famous Jameis has issues with pass command, Jordan Love is infused with the spirits of Favre and Rodgers before him. Their guidance leads him to dissect a Joe Woods defense like a middle school science experiment. Brutal penalties giving up huge yardage. Crumbling on critical 3rd and 4th downs almost as if it were on repeat. I know what you're thinking. This is literally the same script they used for their choke to the Bucs last season. All this game did was reinforce how the Saints are to be treated with suspicion. Jordan Love looked like a playoff hero in the 4th quarter and allowed Lambeau to celebrate. They've scored 18 unanswered to take the lead by 1. Fortunately, the Saints managed to do something on offense. Field goal range has been reached, but can they strike with precision?
From 46 yards out, Loopy's kick is no good!
Prime Will Lutz, this kicker is not. Sometimes I wonder if Saints fans have just numbed themselves to all this bullshit. Their failure today has unleashed more Green Bay insufferability. I hate you more than you can imagine. In an incredibly surprising turn of events, Derek Carr will not be missing multiple weeks with a shoulder injury. Call it mutant healing or something. Don't forget, Alvin Kamara's back from suspension as well. Too bad he didn't do a damn thing for their fortunes against the Bucs. That defense of theirs came to play, and New Orleans had absolutely no answers for it. Out of all their drives, about half of them gained less than 5 yards. And that's if the turnovers weren't killing them. That's what we call suffocation, boys. This is the Baker Mayfield revival. And his spirals and gunslinging will make this a slow, agonizing death for the Saints fans in attendance. Perhaps next time, Pete Carmichael will do things like competently game plan and utilize the talent he has on his offense. But that's a pipe dream. All you get is Baker Mayfield dancing on your hospital bed. It's kinda hypnotic if we're being honest. Bill, it was a hell of a run. You made us hate you for years with Brady and elite defenses and taped practices, but we all have an expiration date. Yours is here. Look at how awful your offense looks. Mac Jones isn't just cooked, he's pissing himself out there. Dude's turning into Squidward in the kitchen, just burning everything in sight behind an O-line that doesn't block. If there's a read, he misses it. If there's a bad throw, he makes it. If there was any confidence, it's gone. Good work, Patriots. You've near completely ruined a promising quarterback. The second straight week Mac was dragged out of a grease fire as he tried to make an omelet. Considering how off he is, it might be his last chance. The Saints used this as impetus for an inquisition. New England's worst home loss since 1969. The worst stretch for a team since the tanking Dolphins of 2019. Punting on a 4th and 3 at the Saints' 40. Is Rod Rush your head coach because it might be 1990? It's also a worst-case scenario for New Orleans. If only because they get another week of Pete Carmichael trying to jam square pegs into round holes. It's a blowout win, but at what cost? Team looked good, but how much of that was simply because the Pats are dead? The up-and-comer hosting a franchise that still thinks they've got it. Little did that old flame know that they have a bum leg, they have liver failure, and their silicone breasts are infested with maggots. Houston continues to do more with less. Pretty much scrounging wins together with a bunch of pebbles and twigs they find on the side of the road. CJ Stroud hadn't thrown an interception in his NFL career until this game. And the Saints were so touched by it that they simply gave the ball back to the Texans. After the initial volleys in the first half, the New Orleans defense did its job. They silenced any remaining opposition and kept them in the game to the end. I am absolutely unsurprised that the Saints shit the bed when opportunity is presented yet again. You wonder why I have no faith in them to do anything? This is why. Pete Carmichael is all the scheming of a 5-year-old's hand caught in a cookie jar. His red zone offense was fucking pathetic. 4 opportunities in or near the red zone, most of them late in the 4th quarter. They end up with only 3 points out of them. Against this ragtag defense, Derek Carr threw for over 350 yards. Pete's just running the same damn plays over and over again. Yes, please, another shitty deep fade to the outside. It totally worked the last 8 times you tried it. I'm fully convinced the team that should have won did. New Orleans couldn't find their way out of a damn paper bag when it matters. Typical. The NFL is so arrogant that they're subjecting a national audience to Pete Carmichael's play calling. but the fourth quarter will all be Al Michaels as we lose all passion and sanity. What Saints offense do you want to experience this time around? Checkdowns to Alvin Kamara or checkdowns to Alvin Kamara? We need 200% more Taysom Hill. Get a failed fourth down conversion with each checkdown. As you consider this, Jacksonville with an ailing Trevor Lawrence dissects a sluggish Saints defense to jump out to a rather sizable lead. To no one's surprise, New Orleans is dead in the water, sinking in the damn bayou itself. The fans are rightfully pissed as red zone drives continually fail and Derek Carr's missing every damn receiver in sight. This car then drives an interception right for delivery and gives Jacksonville a pick six. It fuels revenge. The Saints defense decides they've had enough shit and clamps down on anything the Jags throw at them. Oh, Jacksonville, why must you be so consistently inconsistent on offense this year? All you need is that and you're a legit contender. Same as the Saints, who magically get good at it once they go into the no-huddle. I wonder why. New Orleans erases a 15-point deficit in the blink of an eye. But Payne is a Saints fan. Cue more sinking into the bayou on defense thanks to Christian Kirk making magic happen for a touchdown. Bad news, folks. The Saints offense. It happened yet again. They marched down to the goal line on the final drive only to then fire aimlessly into the air 4 consecutive times. Real question though. You have all of this talent at the skill positions, and you're throwing to Foster Moreau. You deserve to lose this game because of that shit alone. The match ends up like most passes by Carr in the red zone. Overthrown. Consider this reason number 87 as to why I have no faith in the Saints to do anything. Everyone will blame Moreau for this, but you know what's really at fault? 3 for 18 on third down and 2 for 5 in the red zone. Another outstanding performance by the Saints offense. I'd like to think that all of Saints Nation is holding Pete Carmichael against his will in a rusty old shack on the bayou. With how the offense performed against the Colts, there's no way that this is the same unit that we've seen over the past few weeks. A Saints team that played up to full potential? Are we in an alternate timeline? Brilliant chemistry between Carr and his receivers, a balanced attack, and over 500 yards of a tremendous bounty. Throwing to the explosiveness of Rashid Shaheed, that's a fantastic idea. The thing is, the Colts did their best to keep up with the assault, but by the end it was intercepted to give New Orleans more life. The Saints pull away on the road and win. And it's a much needed one at the end of the day. It slings them right back into contention for the division that should not exist. And we'll probably be yelling at them for the same offensive ineptitude next week. Indianapolis, in the meantime, is simulating the season equivalent of Charlie Brown kicking the football. Jim Irsay mentioned that the NFL told him they fucked up last week, which means that Rodgers probably going to give him a permanent vacation in a vat of acid. No one one-ups the Shield. No one. Even as the Saints should be applauded on one side of the ball, I still find myself livid at them for reasons that have been stated repeatedly. Tyson Bagent was once again at the helm for the Bears. Despite some early magic, too many elements undo them in the art of winning. Their defense is all but a turnstile that lacks cohesion and talent, even with managing to extend Montez Sweat long term. Their offense, while showing flashes, is unable to truly turn the tide. Whenever they have a chance to take advantage, flashbacks to the horrible doink. A game of keep away, mostly from the Bears' offense becoming pastry chefs competing with Café du Monde. No need to win, just force a few passes when it's obvious to the naked eye they're blanketed. Just a sheer kick in the balls. But that's to be expected of Chicago. New Orleans underwhelmed on offense yet again. You're telling me you had the advantage of 5 defensive takeaways and the penalty advantage of 8-1 and you could only win by 1 score? What the actual fuck is wrong with you? This is supposed to be the team I need to take seriously? Great, they're leading the NFC South again. It's not a division, it's a farce. Prove me wrong, Saints. You've let me down repeatedly before. Over half a decade ago, the Minneapolis Miracle bewildered us all to allow the Vikings to advance to pain and failure. Has it really been that long? Both teams still yearn for such a prize again, but only Minnesota can have the miracle today. That man's name is Josh Dobbs. The Pastronaut, Dobby the House QB, whatever you want to call him, he's gone into a new offense and is running it like Kirk Cousins was. New Orleans' defense is supposed to be good, but here, Dobbs is fooling them at every turn. I consider him backup caliber, but am I sleeping on him? With a 24-3 lead at halftime, perhaps I am. But as we know, the Vikings cannot win or lose a game by more than 1 score under penalty of death. They must allow the Saints to close the gap by any means necessary, but there will be a challenge. Derek Carr suffered another breakdown on the freeway. They must reopen the turnover bakery of famous Jameis. The Jameis is a dynamic foe. He'll flash his amazing talent, making daring throws to Chris Olave in the corner of the end zone. chucking the ball across the field for a death-defying touchdown to put them within one score. They'll get opportunities as the Saints defense shuts down Minnesota at every turn. And then...
Up the middle, Metellus. Winston launches a high ball, and Mekhi Blackman comes down with his first NFL interception.
The legendary turnovers make a return. Oh, Jameis, you haven't baked these tasty treats for so long, but it's so nice to see you haven't lost your touch. These two brutal interceptions help the Vikings maintain the law and still win the contest. 5 victories in a row now. This is some magical shit going on. Best bask in it while it lasts. The dream is dead. Desmond Ridder is back in the saddle to be shit at quarterback for Atlanta. God has forsaken us all. Watching such unbelievably terrible offense from both sides would be one thing, but then you realize that this game is for the NFC South Division lead. One of these teams will probably be getting crushed by Dallas at home in the wildcard round. The Cowboys sit at home licking their chops. This game simply turns into who wants to lose the game more. Atlanta tries their damnedest, but New Orleans? Good lord. Hate something as much as the Saints hate play inside the 20. They had 5 red zone opportunities in this contest, and only came out of them with 9 points? How can you be this continuously awful at executing anything besides yourself? Desmond Ridder's out here throwing dimes to your secondary, yet Derek Carr's trying to get his receivers killed? Horrible penalties killing momentum? Almost 450 yards of offense? Doesn't matter, we need to get the ball to Taysom Hill every chance we can. Arthur Smith is the greatest escape artist of his own contraptions. Oh my god, you realize that Bijan is really goddamn good and you spent a top 10 pick on him? It's almost as if you're trying to win the game or something. This said a hell of a lot more about New Orleans, but the Falcons do get first place in the NFC South, with the sub-500 record. Oh yeah, baby. Tank Division is back. New Orleans is truly in hell. The organization spent the offseason deluding themselves into the idea that all they needed was a quarterback. Their terrible team coaching and the aging injury-prone roster didn't matter because Derek Carr was going to save them. So Saints, is going down 21-0 about 7 minutes into the game worth keeping your heads in the sand? At this point, the game was all but over. The voodoo magic to try and avenge the great fucking of 2018 has been fruitless. Repeatedly jamming their dicks into a blender is doing nothing to get them out of it. The most agonizing part wasn't this, though. It was in their potential comeback in the second half. New Orleans managed to get it within 1 score because Detroit and defense are 2 incompatible terms. Hell, it gets better as the Saints defense buckled down and flashed the talent that made them division favorites before the year. Then, like most opportunities, they fumbled it. New Orleans is now making Carr the whipping boy as Jameson Williams speeds down the sideline for a seamless TD. Redemption for Carr? Not with this laundry list of injuries. The dude is an entire hospital ward of ailments, and famous Jameis will have to carry the load. He would lead New Orleans to a touchdown, but like most things involving Saints, there'd be a scandal involved and several of them would be excommunicated. Offensive stagnation and desecration with a turnover on downs, Detroit drives the dagger with their offense. Another winnable game thrown into the abyss of infinite nightmares. Unlike the Lions, it doesn't bounce back. As I said, New Orleans is truly in hell. Good lord, what a game of football we've just witnessed. In climate-controlled conditions, both passing attacks not only sputtered and crashed to the ground, they set themselves on fire after the fact and ran around in circles. Bryce Young is completely broken, shattered into a million pieces and scattered by the winds of misery itself. This dude literally can't do anything. His offense isn't shitting it, he's missing wide-open targets. Repeatedly. Even if Carolina got 200 yards of rushing in garbage time, the whole damn offensive philosophy's in disarray. Wernicke ain't got nothing on the chaos taking place here. Now, if you simply scoreboard watch, you'd say it was an easy Saints win. It wasn't. New Orleans' offense is as much of a travesty as usual. Derek Carr played through several nagging injuries, and it's making him look even worse. Are we gonna talk about how he was averaging 2 yards an attempt in the third quarter? Even his own linemen are going off on how useless he is. You should be thankful Bryce is taking the heat off him. New Orleans was so bad they had to touch over 200 yards of offense. The Saints more or less won because the Panthers are sludge run off from the old Coke plant. Yet despite how shit they are, they can still make the playoffs in the god-awful NFC. Another team that frustrates me to no end. Flash in the pan memes are some of my favorites. The Duck Hodgeses and Kyle Allens and Josh Dobbses and Mike motherfucking Whites of the world show us all that anyone can play quarterback at the highest level. For a few weeks. Tommy DeVito was a legend for a fortnight, but reality slowly kicks all false hope in the ass. Like all failed dreams, it happened at the Superdome. The Saints shut down the Giants' running game and forced Tommy to try to beat them with his arm. He couldn't. New Orleans killed them off with efficiency and repetition. If there was a third down, they couldn't convert it. If there was a pass, it only averaged about 3 yards. Any momentum, sacked 7 times in the backfield and then knocked out briefly before halftime on a hard hit. Every Italian American now cries into a platter of gabagool. There was another showing of Tyrod Taylor at minimum. The Saints are still a very flawed team, but they haven't had to do a ton these past few weeks. Just keep their head down and punish their easy opponents. Derek Carr at least looked solid and got them back to 500. Oh god, I just realized. There's a chance that 2 teams from Tank Division might make the playoffs this year. What a damning indictment of the NFC. Pivotal match for playoff futures or not, this only confirmed one thing. The New Orleans Saints suck. Not even the fraud category that everyone throws out there for teams, myself included. They just fucking suck. The fleur-de-lis is mangled by a bunch of morons that channeled their inner Arthur Smith against the Rams. Dennis Allen gets called a coward for being too conservative? Fuck it, just go for it repeatedly when the analytical advantage is minimal. And then fuck that up with terrible play calling. It'd be awfully nice if his defense was ready to face the Rams' attack. All day long, Matthew Stafford could do whatever the hell he wanted. Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams could do whatever the hell they wanted. LA's offense looked to be back to their Super Bowl heyday while the Saints did next to nothing with Alvin Kamara. The whole organization is a check down on 2nd and long. It'd be one thing if New Orleans was disappointing, but it's hard to feel sympathy for them when nearly all of us were screaming that they weren't a true contender since they signed Derek Carr. Not when the rest of the roster is flawed and injury prone and their coaching staff is full of idiots. And of course, they try to come back when it's too little too late. Wow, Derek Carr had a great game. Where the fuck has this been all year? It's awfully cute, but with one of the easiest schedules in football, alongside skill positions oozing with talent should lead to a lot more than that. The Rams will safely guide you into the cold embrace of football hell where they all but lock up a playoff spot of their own. Who dat? A team that needs to rebuild badly. Oh great, so the Saints finally bothered to show up for a crucial game. Am I supposed to be happy for them or something? They've been doing this kind of cock-trapping all year long. New Orleans gives us a game or two where they manage to not get in their own way. Everyone thinks this is finally the moment they get their shit together, and they respond by getting in their own way. Repeat this scenario about 4 times and you have the Saints season. A thoroughly complete and dominating win crushing their foes beneath them? Who the fuck has this been all year? The way they treated Tampa Bay, they should have won this division weeks ago. It merely shows the mercurial nature of the Bucs. They had a golden opportunity to claim a win and rest starters next week, but it turned into Baker and melted immediately. No contest. New Orleans just shit all over Tampa, setting the stage for 3 shitty teams to have a chance at the NFC South. When Tank Division starts to get bland and pointless, by God, it reels me back in. It's the uninspired dreck that feeds families. Now watch the Saints stay on brand and choke next week away. Tank Division is coming to a head here. Tampa Bay wins it by default if they somehow don't shit it hard against Carolina. Atlanta and New Orleans will be eager to pounce if things somehow implode for them. To Louisiana we go. The New Orleans Saints special. Do absolutely nothing until it's far too late, and then flash the incredible upside that had the fan base interested at the start of the year. I'm gonna be completely honest, all you did was put Atlanta out of their misery. The Falcons have been so mismanaged this year that even Arthur Anderson couldn't fudge the numbers in their favor. I'll give them credit. They do a tremendous job finding ways to not only lose, but embarrass themselves royally in the process. Why are they still trying to make Desmond Ridder a thing? These shitty passes he's throwing are benchable at the high school level, yet Arthur Smith keeps mocking us all for rightfully calling him shit. All this talent on offense and you're trusting it to the equivalent of town drunks and village idiots. Hell, the defense has been giving up big plays ad nauseum as of late, so why not keep it going? What a shitty football team, and what a shitty way to waste everything given to an ungrateful fuck. I need to apologize. I underestimated the incompetence of the Falcons when I thought they'd win the division. I will never do so again. But what's truly important to the Falcons are the sanctity of unwritten rules. Arthur Smith's having a pissy fit because the Saints dared to get a struggling player his first TD on the year. I have a better idea, Arthur. How about not running your offense through Jonnu Smith, you fucking hack? You seriously expected fucking Carolina to help you out? They can't match shapes, they're so neurologically damaged. I'm supposed to have sympathy for the Saints? With the bullshit they pulled all year? Your punishment is Dennis Allen and his clown crew staying put in the greatest failure of all. Enjoy your stay in football hell. One of the legendary myths in the animal kingdom is the ostrich burying its head in the sand when faced with a predator. That might not be true, but the New Orleans Saints certainly do this in the face of reality. This organization really thought the solution to their aging, injury-prone roster and hackneyed coaching staff was Derek Carr? We tried warning them that quarterback wasn't anywhere close to the main issue, and this season was proof of it. It created more problems than they solved. Endless agony and spinning on the hamster wheel of futility. I'd argue the worst part is that all of their failings were done to themselves, and they tripled down on it. God-awful scheming, coaching, and play calling did them in at every turn. Their escapades in the red zone were executed as well as my Tinder game. I took shits more consistent than this offense. A weak division ripe for the taking, yet they still underachieved. And then, as a final insult, reached their full potential at the end of the year when it was too late to make it to the next stage of the dance. A wasted year through and through. Worst of all, nothing's gonna change. They can't, with it being about a half-decade of mandatory restructures. Pete Carmichael's hackery's the token sacrifice, and he'll be replaced by another vanilla retread. This organization needs a full clean, yet it won't happen. Their heads are in the sand. They'll just keep kicking the bullshit can down the road. Welcome to football hell.